We're not gonna.
I'm just kidding.
No, exile you or anything.
No, I asked to be on this at the last minute because this was a panel I meant to suggest and forgot about.
Maybe that's why he's not in the program book.
One of the books that is on that.
All right. Well, let's get started.
For being written is actually kind of a paranormal. It's the one with the
I don't have my name tag thing. Sorry.
Well, should we do introductions, John?
Yeah, you're the moderator.
Well, that's fine. Let's do introductions.
Okay.
John, tell them who you are.
Hi, I'm John.
All right.
Hi, John.
Hey there.
Oh,
And I'm a comicaholic, you forgot to add that.
what?
And I'm a comicaholic, you forgot to add that.
Oh, I've reformed. I just watch the movies now and the TV series and all the fun stuff. I don't have to read.
Go ahead.
I'm James Logan, known as Captain Logan Online. I run Geekvolution and on the internet, and it's mostly YouTube. We do everything superhero, comic book, pop culture, and I've been doing weekly podcasts on both Arrow and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and we'll be doing a weekly podcast on all of the copious amounts. It's going to take up my whole life.
Yeah.
All the copious amounts of comic book and superhero TV shows we've got coming out in the fall.
David Peterson. I've written 2 fantasy novels, Angst and Buried in Angst. I'm working on my 3rd. And I've been a comic book and superhero fan since, yay. So that's why I brought the panel up, because I'm kind of excited about a lot of this stuff that's coming up.
And I've heard a rumor that the 3rd book he's writing is digging out of the angst.
And I'm Robin Wayne Bailey. I've written over 20 books and around 150 short stories now. I sometimes write comic work for Moonstone Comics and have written one piece for the X-Men in the distant past. And I've read comic books since I was a little kid like this.
Yeah.
Robin, was it the not so distant past?
Actually, it was for X-Men Legends.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, very cool.
X-Men usually takes place in the not too distant future, so I wanted to ask if you wrote the not too distant.
Well, sometimes it's days of
Well,
future.
it was a story that took place in the distant future, but in the not too
okay, so that's the not so distant past. Yeah,
it's
you see what I'm getting at? Yeah.
So,
Laugh, Robin, it's funny.
there is, yes, it was.
Thank you.
So there's a lot going on with DC and Marvel and what they're trying to do. And I'm going to start out with the ending of this conversation, which is, for now, I think DC is doing a better job in television, for now. But I think Marvel is doing a much better job in film.
Yep.
And I think that it's going to change a little bit, but that's where things are with some of what they've got planned. And part of the reason for this theory, and then I'll break it down why I believe this, is that you've got Avengers. And I'm talking main Marvel universe. Marvel is split up into multiple segments. You've got, Spider-Man and X-Men, and that's all owned by, I think, is it Fox?
No, Spider-Man's owned by Sony.
Spider-Man and Sony.
Fox has Fantastic Four and X-Men. They've got to start crossing those, or at least that's been the rumor for a while.
And if they don't get Fantastic Four going by fall, it's going back to Marvel.
Yeah, but we're getting a movie in 2015. They're already starting to work on that.
But I'm talking about the Marvel core universe.
Right.
And what they're doing, what they've done so far with Iron Man and Incredible Hulk and with Captain America and Thor leading up to the Avengers, and what they're doing next with more of that. Guardians of the Galaxy, which looks fantastic, and yeah, exactly. And some of the others. And then also what they're doing with TV. It seems that Marvel really has a plan. DC has a lot of properties where, they had Man of Steel was that last year?
Yeah, no, that was
2 years ago.
No, that was last year.
That was last year.
Well, I think that was
And
last year.
they're now coming out with the Batman versus Superman Halls of Justice movie.
Dawn of Justice.
Dawn of Justice. Same thing. And it's the Justice League prequel, and they're going to come out with a Justice League movie soon. Well, in like 5 years from now. But also they've got the television side where they've got Arrow, which is a very popular show. They're doing a spin-off series, Flash, if you guys are familiar with that, which looks fantastic.
I hope so, because last Flash tanked.
Yeah,
it was good.
It's too bad. It was good. It was in the 90s.
Yeah, they tried one in the 80s also, and it tanked after about 3 episodes.
Hi, come on in, we're having fun.
It was bad.
No, I was just telling you.
It wasn't good, it was bad.
It was at the same time they tried to do a Captain America where he just was
on the motorcycle
biker.
Yeah.
They tried to do a $6 million man Captain America.
Exactly, and it was bad.
DC also has Gotham coming out. That's going to be on Fox, so it'll only last a year.
Heard that one.
That long?
Why you say that? Well, like Serenity and
No, that's
Firefly.
only if it's directed by Joss Whedon.
Well, yeah, that's a and forgive
Almost
me,
Human.
and forgive me, but that's somewhat of an outdated joke.
No,
Because
that's
Fox
true.
has-
Almost Human was
Fox
good.
has a very different kind of like I think somebody else is running them now. Like they don't cancel things quite as fast as they used to.
Almost Human got canceled.
Right.
It's
No,
fantastic.
I
series.
wasn't
And I don't know what the wall is now. I'll
Exactly,
never
I know,
know.
right? Anyway, and Constantine is another show DC is coming out with. So, and if you've seen the previews, or if you haven't, Flash looks fantastic, Constantine looks really good. I mean, there's a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
But, so I'd like to start out with the DC shows that are ongoing and coming up. I mean, how do you guys feel about what they're doing and where they're going with it?
Well, frankly, I found that the DC shows on CW are just too soap opera for me. They're not.
Arrow has a lot of drama.
Sorry, I'm late.
Oh, yeah, come on in.
Got lost, didn't you?
Oh, the elusive Dr.
Were you in
Smith.
one of my other panels? Because I really feel
Nobody
sorry
just liked
for
your
you.
name.
Oh, good. I do apologize to my co-panelists
Oh,
and
not at
the
all.
moderator and y'all, the participants, because unfortunately, the reality of being a writer at a con, you do have to sell books and sign them. And there you go. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, we've all done our introductions. Why don't, since you're...
Oh, okay.
Go ahead.
First of all, I'm really not sure why they put me on this panel, but I'm damn glad to be here. Hope you are too. I'm a science fiction and fantasy writer. I do that. I'm self-published on a little publishing company. Also write screenplays, and I've directed and produced and done some of that stuff. My day job, why I have more fat and less hair than I prefer, is I work up north here in Omaha. And I'm an alternative futures developer. And what alternative futures does is I study things going on in the world and I look for trends. And I take those trends and I extrapolate them out 10, 20 years. And then I write a nice little story, a little fictional story of what the world might look like.
So you're a psychohistorian.
Something like that. We just call it the science and art of MSU make shit up. But at any rate, that's what I do. So I am considered up there the lead developer for all of Eurasia, which is Western Europe, Russia, and Central Asia, and also in advances in disruptive and emerging technologies. That's kind of what I write on and do a lot of research on that. And I yield the table, sir.
Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. So, DC, television shows, what are they doing right now? What are they doing correctly now?
I don't know, because I frankly lost interest in this. So basically, it's from Smallville, and we're waiting so long for them to do almost anything in that series, and it was always just the angst of the characters.
Good choice of words.
It's your book, you plug it.
No, you're doing great.
But I just couldn't get in it because I kept waiting for Superboy to be super and put on the super suit and do the super stuff, but he couldn't. And I realized it was contractual.
But that's what made the series work, I think, in the end. They had announced from the beginning of the conception of the series that this would be a no tights, no flights show. And I think that worked very, very well over the course of the seasons because it gave a progress to the series. We knew that eventually he was destined to become Superman, but the show was not about Superman. It was about Clark evolving, growing up, accepting his abilities, developing his abilities, and coming to grips with what he inevitably saw as his future. And so I didn't want to see him in tights or flights from the beginning. That was Lois and Clark. We had seen that before. This was different. It was a different approach. They were willing to screw with the continuity, and I think that's what made the show fascinating. And I think it's what's working with Arrow also, that they're not just following canon, they're not just playing the character that we all know. This is a different character, and he's surrounded by a cast of characters that we all think we're kind of familiar with. Speedy, Black Canary, except they're not exactly the characters from the comics. And that makes the show interesting because as regular comic fans, we're looking to see how this is all going to gel. And if you're not a regular reader of the comics, it doesn't matter.
Yes.
So I think it's and it's something that Marvel has not shown a willingness to do. It's one of the things that makes DC work on television, not so well on the movies, I think, but it makes Marvel strong in the theaters, but weak on television.
Which I guess means that I'm going to go for the theater versions because it's the very things that you like that turn me off to the series, to the TV. So,
Did you see this? How much of Arrow have you watched?
not much. It just,
See,
I watched a few episodes. It seemed to be Smallville again, so.
About halfway through season 2. It's fantastic.
Season
We
2 was
enjoy it.
fantastic.
It's
Season
not just
1
the
was
ads.
kind of weak.
Oh, is it?
And Stephen
I said not
Amell, the
just.
star of the show,
Try it
basically took control of a lot of the script writing, and it has been a far tighter show and a much more dramatic show the second season.
As a person who's dabbled, first of all, I'm a huge comic book fan, number one. Just biased. My mom, when she was alive, claimed the only reason I learned how to read was because when I was in Calcitrant at the supermarket, she'd park my little butt at the comic book stand and let me rifle through any book that I'm. Huge DC fan, always have been, some Marvel over time. So I love comic books, I love the characters. But I'm going to talk about video industry because, as I mentioned in my intro, I've kind of dabbled in that a little bit. As a producer, I have one requirement, and that requirement is to make myself and my clients money. And the way I do that is I understand that you as a video audience, as an audience, have a very, and I'm not being insulting, it's just reality. I have 20 minutes in a TV show to grab your attention and keep it. I've got to do that. I've got to have this thing crafted in such a way that you find it interesting, it's compelling, and it's immersive to the state that you will turn on every week at that time to that station and watch these people do whatever I have them doing, whatever set of circumstances I have. I really don't care about canon. I don't even care if they wear the same outfits. As long as you're watching TV and I'm getting the numbers, the marks, I'm getting the advertising, which means the cash flow's coming in.
Right.
When I'm doing a film, when I'm producing a feature film, what I'm interested in now is very similar, very same thing. But now instead of having 20 minutes, I've got maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours to do it. But thematically, I don't care that Godzilla looks the same as he did back in the 60s or acts the same as he did back in the 60s. I really don't, as a producer. What I care about is that you came to the movie theater and you spent your hard-earned cash on my film. So there's a very cold reality to this that's at play here. And the art, people who are really, really good at this, like when JJ was on his game, Mr. Abrams, JJ Abrams, when he's on his game, it's seamless, it's engaging. And we watch one of the Star Trek films, kind of like one with Chris Pine, and we kind of go, well, that's really not Spock. But the point is, or we watch Batman, and we go, oh, you know, that's really not Bruce, as I remember. But the fact is, man, we go, man, I want to see this guy again. I want to know more. When they're on their game, it's seamless and it's there. It's when they're not on their game. I think that's what these gentlemen are talking about.
James?
When it doesn't fit for you, then there's a disconnect.
Well, whatever the medium is, you have to respect the canon, but you don't have to be bound by it. You know, Bruce Wayne does not have to be the same Bruce Wayne and have exactly the same motivation from every movie, to the comic books, to the video games, to the radio shows. You know, it's okay to play with that continuity a little bit,
But
play
to-
with that canon.
In fact, if you look at the comic books of Batman, they played with the continuity.
They do.
They
Yeah,
changed
well, of course they
the
do.
characters around.
But to rein this back in a little bit to the DC and Marvel TV shows, let's talk about that specifically. And you haven't said much about how DC is doing on their TV shows. What is your feeling on it?
Wow, where do I begin? Because so much stuff's been said that I'd love to talk about. But anyway,
Yeah, I'm trying to rate it in.
First
Yeah,
there was
because
darkness,
right
and
now.
then there was light.
yes, well, really fast if you don't mind. First of all, I disagree with almost everything Robin said about Smallville. But when you were talking about Arrow, I totally get what you're saying and why you feel like it's too angsty and Smallville all over again. As somebody that watched Smallville in high school and thought it was amazing and then grew up a little bit and realized that I wasn't quite right about that, Arrow fixed a lot of that stuff for me. There was a lot of stuff that like in Smallville there was a lot of like cheap drama for the sake of cheap drama, where characters would get angry with each other just because the show needed people to get angry with each other. And Arrow has people, it's still very drama heavy because it's CW and that's what they make, but a lot more often their characters seem to actually act like real people. It's somewhat hit and miss, but like a lot of the time the dramatic situations I'm actually buying more, and it doesn't feel as gimmicky as Smallville did, and so it's a step in the right direction, is what I'm saying. The deal with Smallville is, Robin, I get that that's what they wanted to do, as far as it's not a show about him putting on the tights and being Superman, but the fact remains that the only reason he wasn't able to do that is because the script Bible, the TV Bible, said he couldn't. And when you get 6, 7, 8 years into a show called Smallville, where everybody is in Metropolis, and they should have changed the name of the show, and when you're using almost every Superman villain we've ever heard of before he actually becomes Superman, there's no reason for him not to be Superman right now. We are scaling back and not allowing character development just because the show is popular and we can't cancel it. Like the character progression you saw for Clark Kent wasn't there for me. He did not change and grow like he should have. He was the same person in season 10 that he was in season 1, and I don't buy that kid became Superman.
Well, I would disagree with that. Over to your website camera. I disagree. Oh, hey! You know, when the show starts out, I will say that in the first 3 seasons, I agree with you, just too much of a teen soap opera. They were taking their lessons from the success of One Tree Hill and the other teen dramas that they had succeeded with, but they moved beyond that, I think.
Ooh, I don't.
So do you think they fixed that? Do you think they fixed that in Arrow?
I think they fixed that a lot in
They
Arrow.
learned from Smallville,
yeah,
I think, to make Arrow a better show.
The trailer that I've seen for The Flash looks a lot better than the feelings that I've got for Arrow, because I haven't watched that much of it, or what I ever saw on Smallville, so maybe they're moving from. The problem I'm going to have with The Flash is I distinctly remember the 1990s Flash and thought it was so good, they're going to have to live up to.
I will say that the 90s Flash, and I loved it, I got him, was a little lucky duck. And campy doesn't sell these days.
Well, and what's weird is it was a little campy, but it also feigned darkness. It feigned this kind of.
It was the Michael Keaton's Batman.
It was exactly.
Era.
Well, it was '91. We're talking 2 years after Batman, and everything right then thought it had to be Batman and thought that it had to be Blade Runner because that's where the look of Batman kind of was. And so that's why Flash looked like that. If you've seen the whole show, if you look at the last couple episodes, just before they got canceled, they were starting to take it in a little bit more of a comic book direction and starting to finally get a little lighter. And I think that show didn't start working until it got campier, actually, because the earlier stuff, it's like, well, he's not a dark detective, he's the Flash. Yeah, So anyway, but
also, can I ask the audience a question? Sure. Just to get a little input here. So, who wants to see the TV show about Hawkman? You know who Hawkman is?
I do.
You do? And would you want to see a TV show?
There's a lot more other characters I'd rather see, honestly.
Such as who? Who would you rather
I'm
see?
very excited
How
for
about a
one about
female
Flash.
superhero?
Yeah,
Wonder
Wonder
Woman.
Woman.
Oh
my gosh.
Can Wonder Woman back?
Wonder Woman.
Can we bring Wonder Woman back?
Wonder
Has
Woman?
anybody
Okay, so
seen-
let's play with this
They
a
were
little
gonna
bit. Just
reboot
going to ask
Wonder
these
Woman
guys
in a
this.
minute.
So what was it about Wonder Woman that you really liked?
I like
The old cheesy Linda Carter stuff. I'm sorry, it was awesome.
You liked Linda Carter?
No, the whole
Easy
show
on
was
the
actually
eyes?
good.
I would
The
also
whole
love
show
to
was
see
actually
Birds of
good.
Prey, if we're going,
Yeah,
if we're
there
going
you
to
go.
see something with Birds of Prey.
Which they did try.
Which they did try. I didn't actually watch it. Nightwing.
Why not?
The Nightwing series would be
Nightwing
kick arse.
would be good.
Why didn't you watch Birds of Prey?
I just didn't have the opportunity. Time constraints mostly. as
So
far as
what I'm trying to reach for you is
Robin, it was on for all of 12 episodes. If you blink, you missed it. I mean, like,
But that's because it never found an audience, so it just never did.
I tried.
Yeah, jump in there.
Yeah, please say so.
go.
The reason I wanted Hawkman is because I wanted Hawkwoman too.
Hawkwoman
Yeah.
too.
I would love to have seen a show with both of them together.
Because what I'm trying to drive to is it's not so much the character, it's why. What is it about those
I like
characters
the
that
fact
you
that
want to
it's
see?
a couple and they work together and they work well together. And same thing with when Scarlet Witch and Martian
Vision
were together in their short comics and stuff. I really hated that when they took us all away and took the kids away. But but I would love to see some of that stuff too. And as for Smallville, I think one of the reasons why you didn't like it so much is that you got to realize that Smallville 10 years, that's an entire generation. So you got people that are watching it at 15 and then at 25, and they're growing up too, and they see their own growth in themselves, and they say, why aren't these guys growing with?
But I tell you, somebody came to me and say, Stan, I got a pitch on Hawkman, I'd buy it.
That's part of the point.
There's a
I
lot of
wanted to make
concept
about the
over
new
execution,
Flash
though.
show.
There were a lot of neat ideas, but
You're
the
not the
storytelling
target
is not good.
audience for the new Flash. The people,
No,
who,
I
are
know
going,
that.
the
Right.
people who are going to be
Or Arrow.
watching the Flash now will be unaware of the
That's why I
Flash
go to the movies.
series in
Yeah.
the 80s.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's talk about what,
Well,
sorry,
before we get off this,
Agents
just a
of
second.
S.H.I.E.L.D. because we've discussed
yeah.
plenty of DC.
Yeah, we need to talk about Marvel, and there's one point I'd like to make about DC, and then you're absolutely right. Thank
Can
you.
I make one more point about the Flash TV series from the 90s?
Really quick?
Really quick? Had the best murals in the background.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every-
So, and you're
everyone
right,
was
I remember
different.
those.
But
So, okay.
again, that's a holdover from the Michael Keaton Batman series.
So DC, they've got all these properties that they've got: Smallville, Arrow, Flash, now Gotham, which is going to be on another channel, and Constantine, which is on another
is
channel.
ABC.
The only two that are connected to each other that we know of are Arrow and the Flash. That's it. The rest of them stand alone on their own. And with them working on the spin-off of Man of Steel being Batman versus Superman, that building into and Wonder Woman's in that, by the way.
Yes.
And then that spinning off to be Justice League. We don't know if any of that is connecting to any of the TV shows. Now Marvel.
No, it's not. We're almost positive.
Yeah. Marvel, right now we've got S.H.I.E.L.D., which had a rocky start, but it got renewed.
It got
which was
really-
good.
but it got a
And
really
the
good
end
finish.
got
Oh, yeah.
fantastic. You've got
As much as I love Arrow, it had a way better finish this season than Arrow.
they signed a deal with Netflix to come out with 4 different shows that are leading up to the Defenders. You've got Luke Cage,
Daredevil,
Iron Fist, and Jessica Jones.
Thank you, Jessica Jones.
And that's leading, and it's all meant for binge watching. I mean, so they're
Yes.
going to have
12-episode seasons, probably.
12, 13,
Nice.
where you can watch them back to back, and then all leading up to that Defenders movie. And they announce it ties in to the Marvel movie universe.
Right. It's all in the same continuity. And you didn't mention Agent Carter.
Yeah, Agent Carter. There was one more, wasn't there?
Well, Agent Carter is going to be televised. It's not.
Right.
That's going to be kind of a S.H.I.E.L.D. spinoff because
But
it's going to be
like a prequel.
Yeah, it's going to be set in the 50s,
Foundation
setting up
S.H.I.E.L.D.
S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah.
So that was kind of like be a prequel to show how Hydra somehow took over S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, they're gonna.
Yeah.
As far as we can tell, they're kind of gonna play with that a little bit.
Yeah, because I was wondering, because in Winter Soldier, it kind of turned out S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra all along. And
Yeah.
once you weren't Hydra, you weren't aware
But
of
do you,
it.
do you watch S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yes, I do.
All right. So you can
Because
kind of
they dealt-
watch it unfold.
Because they delved
Yeah.
wonderfully into all that.
They were brilliant though, because we wanted to see the Winter Soldier, but it got moved way further up on our priority list as far as order, because we don't get to the movies that often.
Yeah.
Just because we were watching Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and we were like, oh my god, this is about to tie into the movie. We can't watch the next episode on our DVR
Yeah.
until we go see the movie. So it like got to, oh, well, we have to go this weekend because we have to find out what's going to happen in the TV show. It was brilliant.
That was good marketing.
It was excellent.
It was, but I'm gonna tell you.
Actually, Captain America
what we call
was
good
scheduled
business.
to be
Brilliant.
released for February. And then they moved it back, and I think there was a
And that hurt.
perfect timing.
Yeah, but it hurt S.H.I.E.L.D. real hard because they had to coast until they got there, and so a lot of those episodes like probably were not as exciting and pushing toward all that as they would have.
And then we
because
kept
they had to
missing
kind of
weeks.
stall out, and that's a lot of why they did that. They had to shut it down for a month because of all that. So I felt kind of bad for anybody that was watching S.H.I.E.L.D. and didn't get a chance to get to Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Because a week after Winter Soldier comes out, they give you the giant reveal in S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah.
And if it didn't occur to you, oh, you know what? Probably should actually watch the Marvel stuff in the order that it's released. Then you're gonna get and it's a decent reveal in S.H.I.E.L.D. But like it's brilliant in Winter Soldier. And like if you missed it, I feel really bad for you. I know that happened to folks.
Yeah.
Has anybody not seen the Captain America and S.H.I.E.L.D. stuff? Oh, we've just spoiled it for them.
No, it's
Oh,
okay.
dear.
Have you, I was
With
just
the
going to
news,
ask
there's
you.
no way they don't really know
I
about
saw Captain America. I liked it. I did not watch Winter Soldier. I saw a few installments of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because I was interested in kind of where they would take these characters. But quite frankly, I was disappointed. And the reason why I was disappointed is because the whole idea of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the Defenders was to bring in these disparate characters who, quite frankly, are rather flawed. Now, whether they're on TV, in a comic book, or on a film, they're flawed. The Hulk, talk about being flawed. That guy's got some issues. Batman, we all know. Bruce Wayne, dude, that fella needs some help. At any rate, but that was the whole idea. That, you know, you have these very incredibly strong.
You don't think the ones they put in there were flawed?
No.
In the
No way,
Avengers?
You should have
nowhere
watched some
near.
more episodes.
When I look at S.H.I.E.L.D., when I look at Agents of
Are
S.H.I.E.L.D.,
you
I'm
talking about
talking about
Avengers or are
right
you
now.
talking
Think about
about
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
talking about Agents of
Just
S.H.I.E.L.D.
finish
I
it.
watched
Yeah, you
this.
need to watch
finish
some more
it.
episodes,
I'm
man.
kind of going, no, this is what I'm saying, you know, you have a brief moment as a producer to get your attention. I watched the first couple ones and I kind of went like, I think I've seen this before, and it was called The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
It started
Okay,
a little
click,
slow.
done. And that's my point.
It did
Every
start slow.
audience member is different. And if I can't
You're
get
absolutely
buy-in right away, I lose my audience. So I may go back now and watch it, now that I know about the tie-in. You didn't ruin it for you. You actually kind of whetted my appetite. I like to do it.
Can I jump off on this for a second? Because I love that he said that. I've been saying a lot on my podcast on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that they took a monumental risk, and it was the wrong. It was perhaps the wrong kind of risk. It hurt the show. It made it hard. A lot of people didn't watch because of that. Exactly what you're talking. And I said the same thing. I said when you're writing fiction, be it TV or whatever we're talking about, you've got to hook people. You got to get them right away. And the risk they took was, let's make everybody think it's a different show in order to completely surprise them when it turns out that everybody that has seen it, the stuff that happens, because I don't want to give anything away, but like, the subterfuge element, once we get there, all the stuff we were watching is not what we thought it was. But the problem is, if you can't keep those people, you can't surprise them. So no, you're making a really good point.
I'm going to look at your video camera just a moment. I disagree with you.
What do you disagree with?
I don't think that was planned. I don't think they intended that. I think Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. started off as a bad series. It started off with a bad series of a group of characters who had no chemistry.
I completely see why you're saying that, yeah.
Probably until Winter Soldier was in the can, and maybe even, I don't remember.
But here's the thing.
Marvel Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. took that month-long hiatus, and I think at that point they made a real quick revamp and turned around the series and orchestrated that tie-in smartly. Because after
they
that,
figured out a way to rewrite a certain character,
a lot of drama.
I think we can't be 100% sure about that.
I can't
but
imagine any production company saying, "Oh, we're going to take a risk here by writing 6 bad episodes of a 12 episode."
Here's the deal: I don't think they were bad. I think that they were mediocre, and I think that
They were mediocre.
because the
That's my
pilot.
fault. Mediocre.
They were mediocre.
But the
first
pilot
couple
was great, and then they couldn't keep that momentum. You see what I'm saying?
That's what drove me nuts.
I thought it was
fantastic.
fantastic.
So,
Yeah.
okay,
Really?
let's rein it in, because we're about at the halfway point.
And you've got a guy back here with a comment.
On Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you're right. The pilot was well executed.
I thought it was.
They did a good job introducing the characters, and then up until the tie-in to Thor, it's like whoever was guiding the writers didn't know which direction to go. No,
No,
Thor.
Thor also
Thor
had
was
it.
Yeah, there's a small tie-in.
Very small.
Yeah.
Hilariously.
They're trying to
small.
figure out a way to make it tie in, and it just wasn't working for me. It's almost like they didn't know how to develop the characters, and then the little bit they did tie in, which was actually very weak compared to what they did with Winter Soldier.
And compared with what they
it
did
made
with
it
the
hard to
Pacific.
understand the problems they were having.
But see, this is one of the difficulties I have is when you're mixing the canons together and the themes. You know, go back. Why do you have Captain America in the first place? Why does that character exist in comic books and then later on in film and TV? Why do you have him? Okay, why do you have the Incredible Hulk? You know, who's Nick Fury? Anybody know that Nick Fury used to be known as Sergeant Nick Fury?
And the Howling Commander.
In the Howling Commander. Okay, so that's the difficulty you have sometimes when you get an old fart like me, and I'll admit it. Okay, and I'm watching this stuff. I'm kind of going. Part of me wants to see the new. I want to see where the writers and the actors take these people, because it's a story. It's a continuous story. It's the same reason why I'm an addict for Star Trek and Star Wars. I want to see what's going to happen. What's next? I love it. I'll spend big money on it. But at the same time, in that small opportunity they have to grab my attention and more importantly hold it.
Yeah.
If they lose me someplace along the line, if I'm confused, for instance, on the storyline that converges to this, I'm kind of going in my head. Now, how does Hydra become part of S.H.I.E.L.D., which I think belonged to a different production company? It gets a little weird for you. So what I'm saying is there are two elements of work here, I think. There is the production element, telling a story through the video medium, whether it's TV or film. And then there's the viewer, whether I'm watching it or not.
Bless you.
And if I am informed by one before the other, if I read first, then watch, or if I watch first, then read, I kind of have, it's very unfair, but I think I have an expectation of this word called continuity.
There's always a bias.
And if it's discontinuous, then I may not have a good experience.
Yeah, but Marvel's not having that problem. I mean, they're doing a really good job of keeping their continuity straight.
Which
On
let's talk about
film, but not TV.
Well, I don't know what you mean by that. On TV as well, you just haven't finished the season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, they've expounded upon the continuity with Winter Soldier. Right? You just need to go see Winter Soldier and then finish S.H.I.E.L.D. and you won't be saying.
Then I'll be good.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
Because the thing is, we're not talking about disparate continuities. We're talking about a series that was spun out of that. They're the same thing.
It is different than how it was when it originally came out in comic books.
Yeah.
You know, but they've updated.
But we're talking, but that's adaptation.
Yeah.
That's just adaptation.
But we're just
but
focusing on the movies.
When you first started watching S.H.I.E.L.D., I will admit, and Robin will agree with me when I say this, it does. The first half doesn't feel as much like it necessarily even belongs or is in the same universe. When you get in the second half of it, suddenly we're back totally in the Marvel. I don't mean that it's contradicting anything. I just mean that I don't really feel like I'm in the Marvel universe for those first 12 episodes, except for a couple places here and there. And then after that, it's like, holy crap, we're totally in here. So
let's talk about Marvel movies, because I think that this is a good lead into it, and we need a little bit of that, a little bit of DC movies, and then we'll wrap it up. Marvel movies, I mean, you guys know what they've done all the way leading up to the Avengers, and now we're in phase 2, which included Captain America 2, Thor 2, and Guardians of the Galaxy.
Fantastic job.
And, you know, so far I think they've done a fantastic job. I saw some raised hands.
Yeah. Well, I won in the Avengers 2. Will Hydra be a part of the second Avengers?
Yes. Yeah.
And does Ultron character, will that be like a Hydra weapon or a weapon of
We don't know for sure. The prevailing rumor right now, and of course we don't know for sure because they're keeping it kind of tight, is that Ultron is Stark technology gone wrong. In exactly the same way that it used to be Hank Pym technology gone wrong.
On the other hand, they have cast Hank Pym.
Yeah, but they're not doing Ultron that way.
That's for Ant-Man.
That's for Ant-Man. Yeah, it's weird. They're changing out Ultron. They're making him a different thing. And then we're having an Ant-Man movie almost immediately after that. I don't know why they chose to go that way, but that's what they're doing with it. So,
Did you have a question?
With the continuity thing, I just didn't like how they did Thor. Thor was a fantastic movie, and I loved it completely, except for the fact that he's supposed to be the Doctor. He's not supposed to be wearing the Doctor's clothes.
One of the things that we're all comic fans in this room, right? Anybody here who is not a comic fan?
The other one that I liked that
You
did split
cannot
was
make
the one with
a blockbuster movie or a blockbuster television show if you're targeting it just to the comic.
exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be prepared to take risks and change the characters in ways that will appeal to a
And you're talking about
broad
characters
audience.
that so
it would
much.
have
This is
appealed
what I
to
said
me
earlier.
more
You respect
if-
the canon, but you can't be bound by it.
Right.
Yeah.
But it would have
Mostly.
appealed to me more if the Doctor had been completely out of it.
Well, let's compare.
But that was just an
Well,
homage.
let's just compare
I
real
mean,
quickly.
you're talking about like 5 seconds of a film.
Yeah, that was mostly a kind of joke
I
to
predated that,
recognize.
but I absolutely loved the movie.
Right,
I just
right.
needed that
Yeah.
one section.
All right.
But real quick, who
But that's funny.
who saw
They
Green
gave-
Lantern?
That was for you. They
The
gave
DC
you
character, right?
that. It was an
And
homage.
then
That's hilarious.
Who saw? Pick one. We'll do different one. Daredevil.
Which
Okay,
version?
Marvel character. Okay, the two of them, right? So we have some experience with those two films, and we want to talk more about Marvel. So in your mind, if you were to agree with this statement, Daredevil was better than Green Lantern because
It wasn't.
it wasn't,
They were
or
off of
it was worse than Green Lantern because.
No, you just picked two films that are about in the same league of not working.
Yeah.
Although, well,
There's
although
it's intentional.
I
But I want to get to
it.
Marvel. I want to get to Marvel because there's a perception that Marvel, every time it does something on film, it's going to be gonzo, make a lot of money, and we're going to go into syndicate. I mean, we're going to make this
I think
thing,
they've come a long way.
film everything, and that's not necessarily
well,
true.
no, but
So-
the thing about it though is that you're lumping all of Marvel together, and you can't do that. We're talking Marvel Studios right now. You're talking about a movie made 11 years ago by an entirely different company, and it's since about to be rebooted. And we got Daredevil back in Marvel Studios. You see what I'm saying? So I mean, like you know, the X-Men films, different studio. Spider-Man, different studio. Marvel. So what I'm saying is, when people say that. And I don't even completely agree with this. A couple of the Marvel Studios films I don't like that much. I'm not a big fan of Iron Man 2. But the thing about it is, when people say every time Marvel puts something on screen it's great, they're talking about Marvel Studios. They're not necessarily talking about Fox or Sony.
I agree with that. Too. But anyhow, so we have some frame of references. What I'm trying to get to is when we look at Marvel films, what is it about a Marvel film that you either really, really like or you don't? And you look at these other films, you look in the same genre. You look at Iron Man right now. Okay, so Iron Man, great character, versus Batman. Anyone in the most recent one? Actors? It's the actor.
Really.
It's the actor.
It's the actor.
It's the actor,
Honestly, it's the arrogant act. He's got it. I mean, he's got it. He portrays the character the way you envision the character to be.
Let's do the Hulk and
Which
somebody
Hulk?
else.
Which of the?
There you go. That's got to be part of it.
Where are we going with this?
You had a question.
I just was, and it's a completely different topic, but I was just wondering if anybody else was kind of bothered by the fact that they picked the actor for Arrow with focus groups that was much more about his appearance than it was any other characteristic of his.
I would be more bothered by that if Stephen Amell didn't finally pull it out and turn out to be fantastic.
Yes.
But he didn't start off fantastic.
No, we didn't.
No.
And by the way, Stephen Amell
He
at
had
the
to-
beginning
he had to
is
fight
the
for that.
worst voiceover actor I've ever heard.
And in
that
all
man cannot
fairness-
narrate.
And he's not the only starring actor. I mean, Grimm actor had the same problem at the beginning. He sucked
Really?
and he got better. So it's not. But I guess it just kind of bothered me that it was all on appearance and not on acting ability.
I can't disagree with that.
Yep.
I kind of think with Marvel, they're not afraid to have fun with it. They're entertaining. When it gets down to it, they have the comedy points, the action, it looks cool, it's entertaining. DC tries to be kind of dark and serious. Marvel's
That's a good
fun.
point.
And there's a lot of self-importance a lot of the time when we're talking DC films.
One other
and
major
that's
point on that.
and that starts from Dark Knight, which worked and did that okay. But then by the end, got, and I love that film, but by the end got a little bit heavy-handed with some of its ideas, yeah. And so as much as I love a lot of the ideas in Man of Steel, it's just too self-important. And
he killed somebody.
well,
The
yes,
DC
and-
But that's fine.
DC
People are screaming
single-
about that scene where he kills out
single
at the end.
character
For the first
concept.
3 years, Superman killed Batman.
Marvel, multiple character concept.
Yeah.
You guys buying that? I am.
What's that? Say that again.
DC, single character concept.
but yes, of course,
okay.
absolutely.
Marvel,
That-
multiple
You
character
have just tied in my
concept.
whole
Yeah.
point.
Okay, go ahead.
You've just tied in my whole point for
You
this
asked for
whole thing.
Mike.
And that's exactly what I wanted this whole panel to be about, because while DC and television, I mean, Arrow, when most people like it, and Flash looks good, and you've got all these other shows that look okay. Marvel, you've got S.H.I.E.L.D. that ties into the rest of the Marvel universe, the main Marvel universe, Marvel Studios universe. And DC has pieces. You had Green Lantern, which was a mess with potential. You have Batman, which was great by itself. You have Man of Steel, which, now is doing a different Batman as the sequel. DC is not pulling it together with the potential that they've got.
But they do. They have characters, they have storylines that can do that. And that's probably my biggest
could,
disappointment.
yeah.
They
But
could
they-
do it, but for whatever reason, they haven't done it.
Maybe
Support
because
Justice League.
DC
I'd like to see where they
doesn't
go.
yet.
Oh, I am too. I'm hoping that they get a chance to pull it around.
Yeah.
That they take, they kind of do what Marvel has done backwards, where they start out with a big group and then you break off into all the movies and shows that dive deeper into the.
But I think DC has not yet begun to think of it itself in the same way that Marvel does as a movie studio that uses comic books to promote its movies. You mentioned humor and the DC movies, being so dark and everything. But what ruined Green Lantern, I thought, was that they played it
Try to
so
make it too
slapstick.
cheesy.
Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds played it as a comedy role. And I thought that ruined the movie. It ruined the movie for me.
And also because it was too formulaic. I always say this
Well,
about Green Lantern.
formulaic.
Green Lantern was the Green Lantern film we would have expected to get 10 years before that. After the onslaught of superhero films we've had, and after what I would consider the renaissance of superhero storytelling on film in 2008 with Dark Knight and Iron Man, which changed everything, having both of those at the same time the way they did, you can't do that Green Lantern movie and expect people to enjoy it.
I agree with Jamie.
Okay, so quick question for everybody, and we'll start with the people on the panels, and I want to ask you guys, what are you looking forward to most, John, in the next couple years? What are you looking for? TV, movie, it doesn't matter.
I want to see what they're going to do with this new X-Men movie.
It's great.
I just saw it and it's brilliant, and I cried a lot.
Oh, I
Because
loved it. I disagree with Jamie.
Wait, what?
I love Days of Future Past.
What do you disagree? I just said I loved it and it made me cry. How do you disagree?
I'm sorry, I thought you were
Two
crying
things you
because
guys
you
are
didn't
agreeing.
No, I was crying because
to cut off Jamie and Robin,
Yes, go ahead, John.
because they're already working on X-Men Apocalypse,
Right.
and it's supposed to transition from the old X-Men to these new guys.
Okay.
And it'd be nice to see
Okay.
what's going to happen. Has anybody seen the newest Spider-Man movie? And have you stayed around for the little cookie at the end?
Yes.
Why is Sony plugging a Fox movie?
Yeah.
It was a deal for their executive director.
Yep.
You know,
Purely.
It was yeah.
So we only have 5 minutes. Let's everybody get a chance to get this in.
okay, I'd love to see what they're going to do with the next phase after that. But
Of
right,
X-Men.
right now I'm looking at X-Men because that's what's in front of me.
James?
Well, you kind of took my answer, honestly. Just in the place I'm at right now.
Shut up!
In the place I am right now, Apocalypse is kind of the thing I'm most excited for, just because Days of Future Past was so fantastic. But I'm looking at television also, and I'm quite stoked for Flash, and I'm quite stoked for Constantine. So,
Rob?
I am cringing at the idea of a Justice League movie. I know this is going to be terrible. I just sense it in my bones.
A second
I
Justice League movie.
I hope not, but yeah.
What I am looking forward to, you mentioned the lack of a female solo movie. I want to see a Captain Marvel movie with the current incarnation of Marvel's Captain Marvel. I think it's time for a woman to carry her own movie, and I think that's the heroine to do it with.
Yeah.
I'm going to agree with that.
She said
What-
sarcastically.
Because what I'm looking for is, other than that, none of everything else that's going on has gone on past. It's been done. I want something new and fresh. I want either a solo female movie that carries it on her own. I'm thinking Lieutenant Ripley on steroids type of character. Or I want Hawkman and Hawkwoman together. That's what I want. I want something new, I want something fresh, and I want it to be relevant to the generation of now.
What about you guys? What are you looking forward to most? Anybody?
Guardians of the Galaxy. Oh yeah. That looks so awesome.
Yeah. I want to see how Guardians of the Galaxy ties into whole
They are
phase 2.
hyping it a lot, though.
I mean, if there's
They
if there's
are, and it might
anything
suck, but it
that
looks
I'm
good.
looking forward to more than anything else, it's phase 2. How is it all going to fit together as masterfully as they've done the first phase?
I'm looking forward to something new that's relevant too, but I'm tired of them going into alternate realities.
Okay.
And that's what I'm afraid of, is doing too much of an alternate reality. And I don't mean just straining from a total canon, just enough to why.
Go ahead.
In both DC and Marvel universe, I've been watching them kind of stay on the safe realm of, we're going to keep this realm recognizable to ours, real, no crazy magic and aliens and everything. I'm looking forward to them both exploding out with that. And I see Marvel on the verge of that, especially with Doctor Strange coming up. And we've already gotten a lot of credence and stuff like that in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So it's like, yes, I'm looking forward to them exploding and just going nuts with it.
Very good. Hey, thank you, everybody. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having me.
I really have to end this panel with Excelsior!